Bristol Community College, Mathematics with Dan Avedikian, Math 060, Topics in Developmental Mathematics, Section 4.4, Problem 6. This is Section 4.4, Problem 6. It says write each fraction as a percent. And we start with 3/8. So typically when I have a fraction like this, if I can, I like to find something where I can multiply to make the denominator become 100. Now, unfortunately, with the 8, I can't put it into 100 evenly. So what you have to do here really is divide it, figure out what it is as a decimal, and then move the decimal 2 places, make it a percent. It's more work if you can't just make the denominator 100. So off to the side, 3/8. If you can use a calculator, you can just do 3 divided by 8 equals, and you'll get the percent. Without a calculator, to do it by hand, what you have to do is 8 divides into 3. 8 won't fit into 3, so think of it as 3.0. Bring that decimal straight up and treat it as a 30. So 8 divides into 30. Let's see, 3 times 8 is 24. 30 minus 24 is 6. And then 3.0, you can think of it as 3.00. You can put in as many zeros as you want. Bring a 0 down. Now you're dividing 8 into 60. Well, I know times 7. 8 times 7 is 56. And then I subtract 60 minus 56 is 4. You can put another 0 if you want, bring it down. 40. 8 divides into 40. Well, it goes in evenly 5 times. Now 5 times 8 is 40, remainder is 0. So 0.375, that's the decimal. But the question does not ask for a decimal. It says write it as a percent. So to make it a percent, take the decimal where it is, pull it 2 positions to the right, and it becomes 37.5%. And I'll get rid of the 3 divided by 8. 37.5%. That's the first one. Now the next one, 18 divided by 45. So same thing. See, ask yourself, can I multiply times something to convert that 45 into a 100? And unfortunately, you can't. So we'll have to do the same type of thing. We'll do a division. And just to stay in one frame, I think I'll get rid of my previous computation, because you can always pull the time bar a little bit back if you want to see it again. Again, if you have a calculator, you could get it more easily. The numerator divided by the denominator equals. Now I know a lot of teachers won't let you use a calculator for some of these, so to do it the long way, what you have to do is the denominator divides into the numerator. 45 divides into 18. Well, it won't divide in even once. 18 is not big enough, so think of it as an 18.0. Treat it as 180, but the decimal that you introduce comes straight up vertically. So now 45 into 180. Well, I know it'll go into 90 twice, so if I make it 4, it should work. Let's try it. 4 times 5 is 20. Write the 0, carry the 2. 4 times 4 is 16 plus 2 more, 18. So it fits in good in one shot. So it's 0.4. 18 over 45 is equivalent to 0.4. But again, the question says write it as a percent. So as a decimal, it's 0.4. Well, decimal to percent is easy. You just move the decimal point 2 positions to the right. So in one position, you're at the end of the 4. If you go another one, you have to fill in that blank area you create by putting in a 0. So 18 over 45, its percent equivalent is 40%. So the next one, C, 1/8. Same process, write it as a percent. Ask yourself, first thing, can I multiply the denominator of the 8 times something to make it a 100? And unfortunately, we can't. So we'll have to do this process. Again, if you have a calculator, you can just do the numerator, divide by the denominator equals, and you'll get the answer right away. Well, you'll get the decimal right away. But if your teacher won't let you use the calculator for the class, which is fairly common, what you have to do is the denominator divides into the numerator how many times. 8 will not divide into 1. 1's not big enough. So write it as 1.0 and treat it as a 10. But the decimal comes straight up vertically. So 8 will divide into 10 once. 1 times 8 is 8. 10 minus 8 is 2. So there's a remainder. So now what you do is You can add another 0. 1.0 and 1.00 is the same. Bring the 0 straight down next to the 2, and you have 20. 8 divides into 20. It'll go in twice. 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract. 20 minus 16 is 4, so it still didn't go in evenly. So put in another 0. Bring it straight down next to the 4. You have 40. 8 will go into 40 evenly, though. 8 times 5. So if I put a 5, 5 times 8, 40. Subtract. Remainder is 0, so it's gone in now. So 0.125. So 1/8 is 0.125 as a decimal. But again, the question didn't ask for a decimal. It wants a percent. So what I have to do to make a decimal into a percent is move the decimal point 2 positions to the right, which will make it 12.5. And then we put the percent symbol on. So 1/8 is 12.5%. The next one, 14 over 56. Make it into a percent. Same process. If you can, multiply something times the denominator to make it a 100. Well, 56, there's nothing you're going to find to make it 100 easily. No whole number. So same type of thing. I'll make a little room. So if your teacher will let you use a calculator, you could do 14 divided by 56. What the numerator divide by the denominator, and you'll get the decimal. If you can't use a calculator for your class, what you have to do is the denominator divides into the numerator, like that. So will 56 divide into 14? No, 14 is not big enough. So write 14.0, but treat it as 140, and the decimal that you introduce goes straight up vertically. So now 56 will go into 143, would be a little too big, so it's really only going to go in twice. 2 times 56 is 112. And if I subtract, let's see, we'll have to borrow. So that's an 8. 3 minus 1 is 2. 1 minus 1 cancels off, so I have 28. So now if I have a remainder, so I have to add another 0 in the numerator, bring that 0 straight down. I have 280. So 140 went twice, but I think 5 will fit. Let's see. 5 times 6 is 30. Write the 0, carry the 3. 5 times 5 is 25. Add 3 more that we carried over. 25 and 3 more is 28, and it fits perfectly. 280, 280, you subtract, you get a 0. So it's 0.25. So 14 over 56 is 0.25. But again, they want a percent, not a decimal. But that's easy at this point. Just once you have the decimal, move the decimal point 2 places to the right, and you will have 25%. Which tells me this must have been able to reduce to 1/4, and I just didn't notice. And if you had, I always just remember that 1/4 is 25%. If you notice, great. If not, you'll get it pretty quick. And the last one, 3 2/5. So notice because of the 3, that changed it. The 5 I really can change into a 100 if I do times 20. But because of the 3 in front, I have to do something with that. So let me do this. Let's write it as an improper fraction. 5 times 3 is 15 rather. And then 15 plus 2 more is 17. So I have 17 over 5. Now, at this point, I could multiply the bottom times 20 to make a 100, and then multiply the top times the same value times 20. And that would work. Or I could make a decimal and move it. They're both good. Where I can make the 100 easily, I prefer that when possible. I'll get the same answer either way. So if I do the denominator times 20, I get a 100. 5 times 20 is 100. 17 times 20, so to make my new numerator, I'm doing 17 times 20. That's awfully big. Cover the 0 briefly. 17 times 2 I know is 34. And now put the 0 at the end of it that I ignored. I ignored 1 0, so I put the 0 back. It's 340. That's an easy way to do it without writing the whole process down. Now, when the denominator is 100, the percent is the numerator, so 340%. So because of the 3 in front, I was expecting 300 and something percent, and that 340% seems pretty reasonable.